Have you ever caught her looking at you from across the room, only to have her quickly glance away? Or noticed how her eyes seem to light up when you walk in, even as she tries to play it cool? The eyes don't just reveal attraction. They broadcast it like a beacon for anyone who knows what to look for. You see, while a woman might control her words, her body language, even her touch, there is one thing that consistently betrays her true feelings: her eyes. They are the ultimate truth tellers in a world of mixed signals and confusing female behavior. Today, I am going to reveal exactly what a woman's eyes tell you about her true feelings toward you. The signals most men completely miss that could be the difference between wasting months on someone who's just not that into you and recognizing genuine desire when it is staring you right in the face. After studying female psychology and coaching thousands of men through relationship challenges, I've identified 12 distinct eye patterns that reveal what she's really feeling, regardless of what she might be saying. Understanding these signals isn't a T about manipulation. It's about clarity. It's about saving yourself time, emotional energy, and heartbreak by learning to read what's actually happening instead of what you hope is happening. The truth is, most men are completely blind to these signals. They misinterpret disinterest as shyness or miss obvious signs of attraction because they too caught up in their own insecurities. By the end of this video, you'll never look at eye contact the same way again. You'll have a precise roadmap to understanding what she's really feeling, giving you the confidence to pursue women who are genuinely interested and move on from those who are naughty. Let us start with the most powerful indicator: sustained eye contact. When a woman maintains eye contact for more than the socially normal 2-3 seconds, she is not just being polite, she is showing interest. This extended gaze creates a moment of intimate connection that goes beyond casual interaction. It is her way of saying, I am comfortable being vulnerable with you, without saying a word. I remember working with a client named Brandon who was completely missing this signal from a coworker he was interested in. During team meetings, she would consistently find reasons to look in his direction and hold his gaze, but he interpreted this as normal workplace behavior. Once he understood the significance of her sustained eye contact, he noticed that she only displayed this behavior with him, not with other male colleagues. This realization gave him the confidence to ask her to coffee, where she immediately admitted she'd been hoping he'd notice her interest for weeks. The second eye pattern to watch for is pupil dilation. This physiological response happens automatically when we see something or someone we are attracted to. When a woman's pupils dilate while looking at you, her brain is literally opening up to take in more of you. This is completely unconscious and impossible to fake, which makes it one of the most reliable indicators of genuine attraction. The science behind this is fascinating. When we are interested in someone, our brain releases dopamine and oxytocin, which cause the pupils to dilate. This is why poker players often wear sunglasses. The eyes reveal too much about our excitement when we have a good hand. I coached a client from Seattle who was unsure about a woman's interest, until I asked him to specifically look at her pupil size when they were talking versus when she was talking to others. The difference was immediately obvious to him. Her pupils were noticeably larger when engaged with him, a physical sign of attraction she couldn't control even if she wanted to. The third eye pattern is the triangular gaze. When a woman is attracted to you, her eyes will often make a triangular pattern, moving from one of your eyes to the other and then down to your mouth before starting over again. This unconscious eye movement indicates she's thinking about kissing you. She may not even realize she is doing it, but her eyes are revealing her desires in real time. This pattern becomes particularly significant in mid-conversation, where the social expectation would be to maintain direct eye contact. When her eyes begin this triangular dance instead, it is a strong indicator that her thoughts have shifted from the conversation to physical attraction. A client from Boston noticed this pattern during a dinner date that he thought was going nowhere. The woman seemed somewhat reserved in conversation, but when he recognized her triangular gaze pattern, he realized there was significant attraction beneath her composed exterior. This awareness completely changed his approach for the remainder of the evening, leading to a genuine connection he might otherwise have missed. The fourth eye signal to watch for is what I call the look away and back. This is when she makes eye contact, looks away briefly, and then looks back at you within a few seconds. This pattern is particularly common in initial encounters and indicates interest combined with a touch of nervousness or shyness. Unlike the confident, sustained gaze, this pattern reveals attraction coupled with uncertainty. The fifth eye signal that reveals attraction is rapid blinking. When a woman is attracted to someone, her blink rate often increases involuntarily. This happens because attraction creates a small stress response in the body, not negative stress, but heightened arousal and awareness. This physiological response increases blink rate without her conscious control. While this signal isn't definitive on its own, when combined with other eye patterns, it strengthens the case for genuine attraction. I worked with a client who was analyzing a video call with a woman he'd been dating virtually during the pandemic. He noticed her blink rate increased dramatically when the conversation turned more personal or flirtatious, a subconscious tell that revealed her emotional investment in the conversation. Understanding this subtle signal gave him the confidence to suggest meeting in person, which she enthusiastically agreed to. The sixth eye pattern is the prolonged glance. This is different from sustained eye contact in that it happens when she doesn't think you were looking. You might catch her staring at you across the room during a group activity or when she thinks your attention is elsewhere. Unlike brief, accidental glances, the prolonged look shows intentional focus and interest. I coached a man named Alex who was completely oblivious to a woman's interest at his workplace. A colleague finally pointed out that this woman consistently watched him when he was focused on tasks or talking with others. Once aware of this pattern, he began to notice how her eyes would linger on him when she thought he wouldn't notice. This revelation completely changed his perception of their interactions and gave him the confidence to pursue a connection that developed into a relationship. The seventh eye pattern that reveals attraction is what experts call eye flutter. This is when a woman briefly lowers her eyelids while maintaining eye contact, creating a subtle but distinctly feminine gesture. This eye movement is almost always unconscious and typically indicates both attraction and submission. It is a nonverbal signal that communicates femininity and openness to your masculine energy. I remember working with a client from Chicago who was completely missing this signal from a woman he was dating. During their conversations, she would consistently display this eye flutter, but he had no idea of its significance. Once I pointed it out, he began to notice how selectively she used this expression, only with him, and primarily during moments of greater intimacy or connection. Understanding this pattern gave him greater confidence in her interest level, which ultimately helped their relationship develop more naturally. The eighth eye signal is what I call the brightness factor. When a woman is attracted to you, her eyes literally appear brighter and more engaged. This happens because attraction causes pupil dilation, as we discussed earlier, but it also increases the moisture in the eyes, creating a visible sparkle or brightness. This is where the expression, "her eyes lit up," comes from. It is a real physiological response to attraction and interest. I coached a man from Los Angeles who was confused by a woman's mixed signals. Her words and some of her actions seemed inconsistent, but when I asked him to specifically notice her eyes when she saw him, he observed something revealing. Despite her casual demeanor, her eyes visibly brightened upon seeing him. This wasn't happening with others in their social circle, indicating a special interest in him specifically. This awareness helped him navigate the relationship with more confidence and patience, allowing her actions to gradually align with what her eyes had been revealing all along. The ninth eye pattern is what psychologists call the love glance. This is when her eye contact becomes noticeably softer and more gentle. The eyes slightly narrow, the facial muscles around the eyes relax, and her gaze takes on a distinctly warm quality. This expression is often accompanied by a slight tilt of the head and reveals deep comfort and affection. Unlike the more intense signals of initial attraction, this eye pattern indicates emotional connection and developing attachment. I worked with a client named David who was unsure about the depth of his girlfriend's feelings. While she was affectionate, he questioned whether there was real emotional investment. When I explained the love glance, he began to notice how her eyes softened in a particular way during quiet moments together, a pattern distinctly different from how she looked at friends or casual acquaintances. This recognition gave him confidence in the genuine nature of her feelings, allowing him to invest more fully in the relationship. The 10th eye signal is the sideways glance, combined with a smile. This coy look has been used by women for centuries to indicate interest while maintaining some mystery. When a woman looks at you from the side, slightly turning her head while maintaining eye contact and adding a smile, she's showing interest in a deliberately feminine way. This is rarely a casual or accidental expression. It is almost always intentional and indicates attraction. I coached a man who was completely missing this signal from a woman at his friend S' wedding. Throughout the evening, she repeatedly gave him this sideways glance combined with a subtle smile, but he interpreted it as friendly politeness. When I explained the deliberate nature of this expression, he realized she had been signaling interest consistently throughout the event. This awareness led him to approach her later in the evening, resulting in a connection he might otherwise have missed entirely. The 11th eye pattern involves what researchers call mirrored pupil response. This occurs when her pupils dilate in response to yours dilating. When we re-attracted to someone, our pupils dilate, and when they notice this unconsciously, their pupils often dilate in response, creating a feedback loop of attraction signals. This synchronization happens completely below conscious awareness and is one of the most genuine indicators of mutual attraction. Now that we've explored the key eye signals that reveal attraction, let S discuss eye patterns that indicate disinterest or disconnection. The first negative eye signal is what I call the disconnected gaze. This is when a woman makes eye contact, but her eyes appear distant or unfocused. Unlike the engaged, bright eyes of attraction, these eyes look through you rather than at you. This disconnection reveals disinterest or emotional detachment and is a reliable indicator that genuine attraction is absent. I worked with a client who was pursuing a woman who consistently displayed this disconnected gaze. Despite her polite words and occasional agreement to dates, her eyes never engaged with genuine interest. Once he recognized this pattern, he was able to accept the reality of her disinterest and redirect his energy toward connections with greater potential. Understanding this signal saved him months of pursuing someone who wasn't genuinely invested. The second negative eye signal involves visual distractions. When a woman is not interested, her eyes frequently break away from you to focus on literally anything else in the environment. Her phone, other people, random objects in the room. These aren't the brief, shy glances away that indicate attraction, but rather sustained attention elsewhere that reveals her disinterest in the current interaction. I coached a man who was confused by a woman's mixed signals until I asked him to specifically track her eye behavior. He realized her eyes were constantly finding reasons to look away, checking her phone, watching people walk by, examining her surroundings, rather than engaging with him. This wasn't shyness. It was her eyes revealing what her polite words wouldn't a fundamental lack of interest. This awareness, though initially disappointing, ultimately freed him to focus on connections with genuine potential. Now that we understand these eye patterns, let IS explore how to effectively respond to positive signals. The first strategy is to mirror her eye contact appropriately. If she IS giving you extended eye contact, don't look away too quickly. Match her level of engagement to signal your interest. However, if her eye contact is more brief or intermittent, respect that pace rather than staring intensely. Mirroring creates comfort and builds connection by establishing a synchronized communication rhythm. I worked with a client named Tyler who was coming on too strong with a woman who was showing subtle but consistent signs of interest through her eyes. His intense, unbroken eye contact was making her uncomfortable despite her attraction to him. When he learned to mirror her more moderate eye contact pattern, engaging fully but occasionally breaking the gaze naturally, their connection immediately deepened because she felt understood and in sync with him. The second approach is to use eye contact to lead the interaction. Once you've identified genuine interest through her eye signals, you can intentionally use your own eye contact to deepen the connection. For example, occasionally holding her gaze slightly longer than usual or looking briefly at her lips before returning to her eyes can communicate your interest in a masculine way that invites her feminine response. A client from Nashville was struggling with a woman who showed clear eye signals of attraction, but the verbal interaction wasn't progressing beyond friendly conversation. When he began intentionally using stronger eye contact, holding her gaze with confidence, and occasionally using the triangular gaze pattern himself, the dynamic shifted noticeably. She began responding with more feminine energy, and the conversation naturally evolved toward more personal topics. He was essentially using nonverbal communication to lead the interaction toward greater intimacy. The third strategy is to create opportunities for eye signals to emerge naturally. Some settings are much better than others for authentic eye communication. Loud bars or busy restaurants can make genuine eye contact difficult, whereas quieter, more intimate environments allow these natural signals to flourish. Position yourself where eye contact is easy and natural, without barriers or excessive distractions. I coached a man who was having trouble reading a woman's interest level during their group outings to noisy bars. I suggested he invite her for a coffee date instead, creating an environment where natural eye contact would be easier. In this setting, her eye patterns became much clearer. The sustained gaze, pupil dilation, and triangular gaze pattern were all evident, confirming her interests that had been obscured in less conducive environments. The fourth approach is to validate eye signals with other body language. While eyes are powerful indicators, they are most reliable when confirmed by consistent body language. Watch for alignment between her eye patterns and other signals. Is she also turning toward you physically? Is she finding reasons to decrease the physical space between you? Does her facial expression match the warmth in her eyes? This comprehensive reading gives you a more accurate understanding of her true feelings. The fifth strategy for effectively responding to eye signals is to respect the progression of eye intimacy. Eye contact typically follows a natural progression in developing relationships, from brief glances to more sustained connection as comfort and attraction grow. Trying to force intense eye contact too soon can create discomfort, while not advancing eye connection when she is ready can stall the relationship's development. Pay attention to her comfort level and follow her lead while gently moving the interaction forward. I coached a man who was stuck in a pattern of friendly interaction with a woman he was interested in. Their eye contact had plateaued at a comfortable but non-intimate level. I encouraged him to occasionally extend his gaze slightly longer than their established pattern, not dramatically, but just enough to signal a desire for greater connection. This subtle shift created space for her to respond with deeper eye engagement when she was ready, which gradually happened over the next few interactions, signaling her comfort with progressing the relationship. The sixth approach is to use momentary breaks in eye contact strategically. Constant, unbroken eye contact can become intense or uncomfortable, even when attraction is present. Learning to break eye contact naturally and confidently, looking away briefly before re-engaging, creates a comfortable rhythm of connection and release. These small breaks allow the tension to dissipate momentarily before rebuilding, creating a much more compelling dynamic than constant intensity. I worked with a client who was making women uncomfortable with his unbroken, intense eye contact. Though well-intentioned, it came across as too dominant or even confrontational. When he learned to occasionally break eye contact naturally, looking away briefly while continuing to speak or listen, then re-establishing connection, his interactions immediately improved. Women began responding more positively because the interaction had a natural flow of engagement and release rather than uncomfortable intensity. The seventh strategy is to create memorable eye moments. Certain situations naturally intensify eye connection. Sharing a genuine laugh, a moment of unexpected vulnerability, or a brief silence where you were simply present with each other. Being aware of these potential moments and allowing them to unfold, rather than filling them with nervous chatter, can create powerful eye connections that significantly advance the relationship. I coached a man from Boston who was skilled at conversation, but tended to fill every moment with words. I encouraged him to become comfortable with brief silences, especially when natural moments of connection occurred. During his next date, when they shared a laugh over a common experience, he resisted the urge to immediately launch into another topic. Instead, he allowed a moment of eye contact to linger naturally. This created a significantly deeper connection than their previous interactions had achieved, one that she later mentioned had stayed with her long after the date ended. The eighth strategy is to improve your own eye contact confidence. Many men struggle with maintaining comfortable, confident eye contact, which makes it difficult to both project and receive eye signals effectively. Practice maintaining more consistent eye contact in everyday interactions, with friends, family, colleagues, to build this skill naturally. This isn't about staring intensely, but rather about becoming comfortable with connection rather than avoidance. I worked with a client who habitually looked away during conversations due to insecurity he'd carried since adolescence. We started with a simple practice, maintaining slightly more eye contact with baristas, store clerks, and other casual interactions. As his comfort grew, he applied this developing skill to dating situations. The change in responses was immediate. Women who had previously seemed disinterested began responding much more positively once he could maintain confident eye contact. His new ability to both project and receive eye signals transformed his dating experiences. The ninth approach is to understand cultural and personal variations. While the eye patterns we've discussed are broadly applicable across cultures, there are significant variations in how different cultures and individuals express interest through their eyes. Some cultures consider direct eye contact respectful and necessary, while others view it as confrontational or too intimate in early interactions. Similarly, some women are naturally more expressive with their eyes, while others are more reserved regardless of interest level. I coached a client who was dating a woman from a Japanese background. He was concerned by her limited direct eye contact, interpreting it as disinterest despite her continuing to accept his invitations. When I explained that in her culture, extended direct eye contact could be considered too forward, especially for women, he began noticing the subtle ways she did show interest. Brief moments of eye contact that were significant within her cultural context, along with other nonverbal cues. This understanding completely changed his perception of their interactions and allowed the relationship to develop naturally without his misinterpreting her more subtle eye communication style. The most important understanding is that eye contact is a skill that develops over time. Like any form of communication, your ability to both project and interpret eye signals will improve with conscious practice and experience. Be patient with yourself through this learning process, celebrating small improvements rather than expecting immediate mastery. I've worked with many clients who initially struggled with maintaining comfortable eye contact, but developed this skill gradually through consistent practice. Understanding what a woman's eyes reveal about her true feelings gives you a powerful advantage in dating and relationships. You will waste less time on women who aren't genuinely interested, and you will recognize real opportunities that might otherwise have passed unnoticed. More importantly, you will create deeper, more authentic connections with women who are drawn to you. If you've found value in these insights on reading and responding to female eye signals, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content that decodes female psychology and helps you navigate relationships with greater confidence and success. Drop a comment below about your own experiences with eye signals, maybe a time when you noticed or missed what a woman's eyes were telling you. And check out my other videos on reading body language and understanding female attraction patterns. Thanks for watching, and remember, her eyes don't just see you, they reveal everything she's not saying.